All right, let's jump right in. For the next 5 minutes, we're going to explore the modern learner's journey. We'll break down how things are changing in the world of professional development, and more importantly, how you can stay ahead of the curve in your career.
So, let's start with the big question, the one that's probably on your mind a lot these days. Are your skills actually future-proofed? Because, let's be honest, the skills that got us to where we are today might not be the ones that take us where we need to go tomorrow. The ground is literally shifting beneath our feet.
And hey, this isn't just a feeling. The World Economic Forum put a number on it, and it's a big one. They're projecting that a full 50% of all employees will need to be re-skilled by 2027. Just think about that for a second. That's half the workforce needing a major skills overhaul in just a couple of years.
To make this super concrete, think about web designers. Just a handful of years ago, that was a booming, in-demand career. Now, an AI tool can whip up a beautiful, functional website from a simple text prompt. That is skill obsolescence happening right before our eyes.
Okay, so if we all agree that learning constantly is the answer, then when does it actually happen? It's not about being stuck in a classroom all day. Real learning is triggered by specific moments of need that pop up every single day while we're just trying to get our jobs done.
And there's a fantastic framework that helps us understand this, called the 5 moments of need. It's basically a map that pinpoints the exact times when we're most ready to learn and when we really need that support to do our jobs well.
Let's run through them really quickly. We learn when something is new, like you're learning new software. We learn when we want to know more, to go deeper on a topic. We learn when we have to apply a skill in the middle of a task. We learn when we need to solve an unexpected problem. And of course, we learn when things change and we have to adapt.
So that's the win. But that brings us to the next massive question, which is, what skills should we even be focused on learning? In this new landscape, there are 2 terms that you absolutely need to know.
And those 2 terms are upskilling and reskilling. So what's the difference? Well, upskilling is about getting better and better at your current job. Think of it as adding new tools to your existing toolbox. Reskilling is much bigger. It's about learning the skills for a completely different role, especially if your current one is being impacted by technology.
And believe me, this is a huge deal for major companies. Just look at Amazon. They invested $700 million to reskill their workforce. We're talking about moving people from warehouse jobs into highly sought-after roles like data technicians. That's a massive bet on the power of reskilling.
Knowing what to learn is half the battle, but how do we actually learn it in a way that sticks? This is where the human element is so important. We need guides, people who can help us unlock our own potential.
When it comes to how we learn, there are kind of 3 main paths: training, coaching, and mentoring. And they all do different things. Training is usually short-term, all about transferring specific knowledge. Coaching is more medium-term. It's focused on changing behavior to improve performance. And mentoring, that's the long game, focused on your overall career growth.
Let's just zero in on coaching for a second, because it's so powerful. The key thing about a great coach is they don't just give you the answers. Nope, they've mastered the art of asking powerful questions that help you find the solutions yourself. It's all about unlocking what's already inside of you. And if you need proof, just look at Google. They did this massive internal study called Project Oxygen. And what did they find? The single #1 trait of their absolute best, most effective managers was being a great coach. That's a game changer.
And mentoring is getting a really cool update too. Check out this brilliant idea from EY. They use reverse mentoring. That's right, they have their Gen Z employees mentor senior partners on stuff like social media and emerging tech. It's an incredible way to share knowledge across generations.
So we know that learning isn't a one-time event. It's a journey. But on any journey, you need a way to make sure you're still heading in the right direction. You need a compass. And in professional development, that compass is feedback.
And I mean truly effective feedback is everything. It reinforces what you're doing right so you can do more of it, and it helps you course correct early when you start to drift. But maybe most importantly, it builds the self-awareness you need to actually grow.
But just saying do better is pretty useless, right? For feedback to work, it has to be structured. A super simple tool is the SBI model. You state the situation. Hey, in the team meeting this morning, then the observable behavior. You cut Sarah off a couple of times. And finally, the impact. And it seemed to throw her off her rhythm. See? It's specific, actionable, and not personal.
And if you're wondering if a feedback culture really pays off, look no further than Adobe. They famously ditched the dreaded annual review and switched to continuous, frequent check-ins. And the result? A 30% boost in productivity. That's a real business impact.
Okay, so we're learning, we're coaching, we're giving feedback. It's all great. But how do we know if any of it is actually working? Well, at the end of the day, a skilled and engaged workforce should lead to one thing: happy customers. And there's a great way to measure that.
It often boils down to this one simple, powerful question. This is the heart and soul of the Net Promoter Score, or NPS. It's such a direct way to measure customer loyalty, which is almost always a direct result of how well your team is performing.
And how it works is really straightforward. Customers who score you a 9 or 10 are your promoters, your biggest fans. 7s and 8s are passives. They're satisfied but not loyal. And anyone from 0 to 6 is a detractor. They're unhappy.
The calculation is also super simple. You just take the percentage of your promoters and subtract the percentage of your detractors. That one number gives you an incredibly clear snapshot of how loyal your customers are.
So, let's bring it all home. Your learning journey is a continuous cycle. It's about identifying those moments of need, making a conscious choice to upskill or reskill, finding a guide like a coach or a mentor, making feedback a constant habit, and always measuring the impact. Because here's the bottom line. The future of work is a future of learning. The two are completely intertwined now. So, the only question that really matters is, what's your next step?